Hey everyone, this is another video from me in a relatively short period of time. It's sort of like buses, my videos. You wait for a while and three turn up at once. Anyway, this is a short masterpiece scale collection update. I've done a bit of reorganisation lately, just decluttered. So I thought I'd just share with everyone the state of my current collection. So things are relatively similar on top of the cabinets. I've still got a mixture of original G1 figures. I've got a couple of Dinobots there and some accessories like Rodimus's combat deck there and my illuminated Autobot faction symbol. Got the Toon version of X-Transbots Boost in alt mode back there and my recently retired MP21 Bumblebee. Moving down, this is where you can really see the changes. If you look at my previous video, this is a lot less cluttered now. You can see I've got the Datsun twins at the front there, Prowl and Blue Streak, along with the Make Toys Downbeat version of Jazz, along with good old Ironhide MP27 with the Shadow Fisher upgrade kit there to get rid of those hip skirts, and MMC's Courageous, which is my preferred version of Trailbreaker, mainly because of the collapsible chest. Actually, it gives him a better silhouette in my mind. And I know X-Transbots have just released a new one, their Aegis Toon version, but I still prefer that version of Trailbreaker. As we go down, we've got MP30 also with the Shadow Fisher upgrade kit, along with Fans Toys Willis, which will soon-ish be swapped out for Hound MP47. So I'll probably put Willis in alt mode and have him displayed elsewhere. Right there at the back, hiding away, we've got the more recent PSO1C cell version of Sphinx, their Mirage. But I've just seen that Transform Element has announced its own version of Mirage, which looks like it's better than this, so that will be the third version of the mould I own. Or not of the mould, but of the character. And down the front here we have MP20 Plus Wheeljack, along with MP39 and Bagcube Steamroll, their side swipe. So I've got a couple of Lamborghini twins there, and I really like that plus deco of Wheeljack, I have to say. It's really grown on me since I've got it. Moving down a little bit further, we come to my first movie shelf, and this is obviously the Autobot movie shelf. I've recently added Grimlock in the back there. That's the oversized Reximus Prime. It is a bit too large, I'll freely admit that, for the display, but I don't really know where I'm going to put Springer and Cup when I get them. I'm holding out for the X-Transbots versions of those. I think, they Virtus and Lock. Pre-orders for both I've seen. I don't know when they're going to drop, but I'll have to find space for them somewhere. But as you can see, I've got Fans Toys Hoodlum at the front there, and along with their Rouge and their Jabba for RC and Blur respectively. Still a bit annoyed about the bait and switch with the colours with Blur, but I've kind of come to terms with it now. It's still a nice looking mould, so I can put up with it. Definitely better than Buzzing. And again, the Hoodlum's not a great figure, but for my money it's a better scaled, slightly better robot mode than the Takara version. And there we have X-Transbots Ollie, which is probably the worst third-party figure in my collection from a QC point of view and a transformation point of view. It's just quite a flimsy figure, and this is the V3, which is better than the others. So, but it looks nice in bot mode, which is the main reason I wanted it. And I've got both the Target Masters and Spike / Daniel, whichever you prefer, there in his exosuit. If we go down, we come to MP22 Magnus and MP09 Rodimus. Rodimus, I say recently, it was the beginning of the year, but I swapped that out. I had the Hasbro one originally, but I much prefer the deco on the Takara version. Magnus, yeah, he's too big really. He doesn't scale properly, but he's still a nice looking figure. And I've got the two KFC Junkions down there. I think they're Retgar and Junkyard, which are Crash Hog and Dumpyard respectively. Now I know they're releasing a bunch more, but I don't really want a troop build, so I'm probably going to stop at these two. They're really nice figures. They're well made, they look the part, but they were the only ones with any real notable personality in the movie and the tune, so I'm going to stop there. Anyway, let's move on now to the Decepticon cabinet and take a look at what we've got in there. Okay, so starting at the top there with the poster, I've got the same faction symbol deal going on. It's just a Decepticon one this time, along with a couple more G1 Dinobots. I never did have Swoop because you couldn't get him in the UK, and he's still quite expensive to pick up now, so I didn't really want to go in on him. Got my original mould or original deco MP17, 18 and 20 there in alt mode at the top. And moving down, we come to the new leader shelf that I've put together. It's a lot less cluttered now that I've cleared out some of the other figures. Got the Infinite Transformations version of Megatron there, which is my preferred version of that mould. I do have the original MP36, but this has fewer QC issues, and to my mind, it's superior deco as well. So I've put him in there alongside the other figures. And I've put one of the spare heads from my TE01 in there just to give him a trophy. At the back there you can see I've got Soundwave, which is the MPO2, the Hasbro version of the mould, although I've upgraded it with a Model upgrade kit to give him tune accurate red eyes. And he's also got an illuminated concussion blaster and a sound effects tape in his chest. And of course Soundwave comes with all of the minions because it was the Hasbro one, so he has Laserbeak there on Meg's shoulder, Buzzsaw on his arm, and then Frenzy Rumble depending on your choice, and then Rumble Frenzy depending on your choice, and of course Ravage. We've got a few Kremzeek at the front there that came with the I-Team Megs, along with the alt mode Megs that came with Soundwave. And bringing up the rear there, we've got one of my favourite characters, Shockwave. This is the original MP29 with a KO Ratbat perched on his backpack there, and I've also applied a Shadow Fisher upgrade kit to him, so he has an LED eye, which is, it can shine either red, yellow or orange. And although I do like the plus version of the figure, that's more of a toy deco, sorry, whereas this is closer to the toon deco, so that's why I have that in my collection. Moving down a little bit now, we come to my Make Toys, stroke Make Toys, whatever, however you decide to say that. It's their Seekers. Obviously at the front there we've got their Meteor, and he's flanked by Lightning and Skycrow, so Starscream, Thundercracker and Skywalk respectively. Still really like this mould, and they look really great on their own shelf there. The additional space with all three of them there just on one shelf, it really brings them out. I think obviously with the wingspan they've got, it's difficult to find space for them. Could really do with some slightly bigger display options, but I don't have that for the moment. Down we go onto the Decepticon movie shelf, and we have front and centre the new M version of Fans Toys Sovereign, their movie deco, and this is the colour I never knew I needed until I saw it. It looks a lot bluer under this light than it actually is. It is definitely more of a purple, but it's a metallic blurple, if you like. It takes an already nice looking figure and just elevates it. In my mind, it's a great looking version of the character. And while I imagine that Takara could probably do better, more toon accurate, I still think this is a really nice looking figure, and well worth the upgrade. Same thing goes with this guy at the back there. We've got Quietus, which is their Cyclonus. That's the T version with the more toon accurate deco. He's got the more, well, it doesn't look like it under this light, but it looks blue again, but it's definitely more of a purple in person than the first one was. And he also has obviously the pink arms, legs, hands and face. And obviously there's no Fans Toy Scourge yet, so we've got X-Transbots Andras doing filling the duties for the time being. Still really like this figure. I know it's got its detractors and it does have its issues, but it's a really nice looking figure. And the decos is more of the Headmaster's deco, so the sky blue on the royal blue, but as opposed to the grey that was used in the Sumbo toon. But yeah, it's still a great figure, and it will do the job nicely until Fans Toys gets around to producing a matching bot for their heralds. Speaking of heralds, the last shelf I've got here is a bit of a hodgepodge. I've kind of done it as a bit of a Unicronian herald stroke ancillary characters, or non-aligned, whatever you want to call it. So obviously we've got my original version of Quietus there, which I put into IDW mode for, well, just to see what it looked like, really, fully intending to sell it. And then I really liked it, so that's staying put now. I've sort of done myself out of 150 quid, which is probably what I could have got it second hand. But I think it's a really nice looking option for the figure. Next to him I have the B version of TO1, the Nemesis Prime version of the figure. I love the deco, the black, teal and red. Obviously Nemesis Prime, kind of a Unicronian herald as well, so it fits the motif, as does the original Cyclonus in my collection, which is the X-Transbots Elagos. Love everything about this figure from the knees up. Not quite as fond as the big calves and feet, as you can see down there, but everything from the knees up looks great. I love how big and imposing he is, but I've now got him as my quote-unquote armada, and I've given him the little goateed face to differentiate him from the other two Cyclonus in my collection. And next to him, obviously, Fans Toys Hydra. You know, I've left him as is, with no faction symbols applied, because the deco isn't so much Season 3 Sumbo as it is Japanese Headmasters, and in that he was a non-aligned ninja consultant, so I've left him as such. He doesn't have any faction symbols on him. And yeah, it's a nice big beefy character, bit of a bland deco, but that's really the animation model's fault. The transformation into the various modes is a bit torturous, so I've only done a couple of them, and I wasn't really bothered about trying the others. But yeah, it's a nice figure, so it looks pretty sweet in the collection there. Okay, moving on now, we're going to go to the combined cabinet and take a look at what we've got in there. Okay, so the top of this cabinet, I've got a few more G1 Transformers. So you can see that I've got my original Jetfire, along with the Super Valkyrie that it was moulded on, and which served as my evil clone stroke Skyfire when I was a kid. Got my original 3 G1 Seekers there, sort of seen better days really. I mean, they're not in terrible condition, but you know, they're a bit loose. That's the first time I think Starscream's chest has stayed clipped in. It normally flicks back. But yeah, they look okay. You can see it's gone again. Yeah, that seldom stays in for long. And then I have also a G1 Megs in alt mode, and apart from the stickers, he's not in too bad condition. I mean, there's some chrome wear on him, but you know, he's 35 years old, so what are you going to do? It's still not in bad nick, and I've got some of the other attachments elsewhere. Joints aren't too bad, you know. It's quite a nice piece to have. And moving down now, we get into one of the main reasons I reorganised the display actually, and that was so I could give this fella room to breathe, and that's of course MP44. Now, I still have my issues with this. You know, I'm still angry about the money I paid for it versus the QC issues, like the damage out of the box, the breakage out of the box I should say, and some of the paint issues and other things. And I'm not mad about, you know, the backpack and the gappiness of the legs and the panelled legs, and especially the alt mode, the flatbed of the truck is horrendous. But on the whole, I mean, it's such a cartoon accurate looking Prime from the front, and you can pull off these great poses with that ab crunch and the ridiculous bends that you can get out of it. He looks amazing sat there like that, for example. I think he looks really, really Sumbo accurate. You know, you just kind of want the human stood in front of him, and that could be an episode for More Than Meets the Eye. Got a little roller next to him there, and obviously his combat deck with the 3 humans, Spike, Sparkplug and Carly. So yeah, I've kind of come to terms with some of the issues with it now, and I'm glad to have him in my collection, albeit I'd have liked it if he was about 150 quid cheaper than he actually was. Moving on down now, we come to the Minibot shelf, and yeah, you can see it's predominantly Bag Cube actually. I've got their Brawny, Grump and Huff at the back there, and I'm going to replace Brawny with Fans Toys version of the character. What do they call that? Hunk, because I think that's a little bit more animation accurate and a bit more of a refined figure. Although I do like the sort of short, squat stature of Brawny. I think that really fits the character. And at the front there, you'll see we've got X-Transbots Boost. That's the Comatoon version with the more accurate coloured chest piece and head, albeit with the silver legs. The reason I've kept both is because I can't make up my mind which I prefer, so I'd hate to sell one and then regret it. And then on the other side, another X-Transbots figure, their Toro, their version of Cliff Jumper, which Not a great figure and has the worst backpack of any figure I've got, but I mean, it's okay, but it's just not really that toon accurate, and I'm sure someone could do a lot better than that, but it is, to my mind, the best available one at the moment. And at the front there, we've got MP45, which, yes, looks a lot more cartoon accurate from the front and is actually not a bad little figure once you get over some of the silliness. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of gaps in the feet and in the backpack. But on the whole, it's not too bad. Again, I had breakage out of the box, which was annoying, or not breakage actually this time, but just you know, faults. I had dings in it, bits missing, some paint issues. But actually, from looking at other reviews, I seem to have done better than some. So I'm going to take the gouge out of the headlight as a bonus, because I could have had a lot worse in terms of paint problems. I'm annoyed about the scale being completely messed up. Now they've made him taller, because now he is taller than Cliff Jumper, which bugs me, and almost as tall as Gears and Windcharger actually. But I'm going to try and get over that. In the pose I've got them in, it's not too obvious. Moving on down now, we come to the one of the sort of favourite figures in my collection. I loved Jetfire as a kid, but I was always a bit annoyed that the animation model never, and the comic version never looked like the the toy never looked like those. This is Fans Toys Phoenix, which really does in both modes. It's one of the most accurate figures to the toon model in either mode. I absolutely love this. This is the original, not the X variant, but I think I actually prefer that anyway, because I prefer the flat white to the pearlescent, and also the metallic eyes to the flatter eyes they had on the reissue. And I'm not too bothered about the metallic things down there being a slightly different hue than the backpack. So yeah, I mean, it's a great figure, really big, solidly built, and yeah, one of the favourite things I own actually. Moving on down, right, we come right to the bottom, and the final thing we've got in here, I never really cared about Reflector as a character, but I wanted to complete the More Than Meets the Eye cast, and I did so by getting these. I prefer them to the available versions, the KFC ones and the Make Toys ones. Make Toys I actually like the look of, but I hate the colours. So I went for Fans Toys in the end, and they're okay. You know, as I say, I'm not a massive fan of Reflector as a character, but they're standing there in the background. And then in front of them we've got the Bag Cube Bug Core, and yeah, again, Fans Toys I do think are better. But you can get all three of these for the price of one Fans Toys figure, and that's if you can even find all the Fans Toys figures. So I picked up the value pack of these, and just that was it. They do suffer with the Bag Cube lower legs and feet, but I think they look pretty good from the sort of knees up again. And yeah, they certainly do a job. Okay, so that's it for season 1 and movie. We'll just move on quickly now to the last cabinet, which is kind of my season 2 and odds and sods cabinet. Okay, so here we are with the final cabinet, and as you can see at the top, I use it as a bit of a storage area for my duplicate leader figures. So we've got the original, more purple deco of Sovereign there, clinging onto his Matrix trophy. Next to that, we've got the V3 of Transform Elements TE01 Op Leader, the Optimus Prime. And that's the one with the slightly more opaque windows and the properly coloured G1 head sculpt faceplate. That's grey now instead of the off-white they used originally. It has a few other things as well, like tweaked ratchets and stuff, but I still have the V1 actually. It's on my desk at work because I just like people to know how cool I am. Next to that, we've got my original MP36, which is still a great figure, but I prefer the ITO1. Had a few QC issues, as I mentioned. You can probably just about make out a ding in the helmet there. I think maybe the light's a bit there you go. See that dent there? And also the panel on that arm was warped, and the sort of thigh rotation's very loose. I do have the kibble covering backpack though, which is good. And you can also see I've got another leader there, which is the Hasbro Rodimus, which is all packaged up ready to sell if I can find a buyer. And next to that, another one I'm selling. This is the original mould of PSO1 Sphinx, the darker blue with the parachute. I really need to get rid of one of them now that there's going to be a Mirage from Transform Element. Moving down, we come to the first combiner in my collection, and one I could never get as a kid. Obviously this is Predaking. This is actually the oversized Feral Rex, the MMC figure. It's the Jinbao oversized version. And yeah, I really love this figure. It was about 70 quid, I think, in the end. Obviously comes with the 6th figure, the Catilla figure there. And I've also bought the upgrade kit to give it articulated hands and the mane so that can be hidden in robot mode for Razor Claw. Also a more proportionate head, and the individual bots now have articulated wrists so the hands can be oriented properly, which they couldn't on the simplified KO versions of the figures. He's a bit too big to support his own weight with the joints because they didn't improve them. So that's why I've got him posed with the sword, because he kind of stands up holding that sword. And the gun doesn't really clip in properly, so if you move it, it falls. But just as a statue, as a display piece, he's a really nice looking figure. And it's just nice to be able to get a figure that I couldn't as a kid looking this good. He's not actually fully extended either because he won't fit in the display cabinet. But actually when you do that, he is pretty tall, and his legs, though the thighs are quite anemic, so I actually prefer it this area here. Instead of it looking spindly, it looks better like that, so that's why I keep it in that configuration. And moving down, another combiner I couldn't get as a kid, and that's Devastator. This is the European Combiner Wars release, and I love this version actually. I prefer it to the Takara in some ways because I think the head sculpt's more G1 accurate than the Takara. And I really like the flat colours. I think it makes it look very sort of toon accurate. And I was lucky enough recently to find someone selling, someone willing to sell their purple hands from the Takara so that I could upgrade it and make it even more toon accurate. They were getting the upgrade kit, one of the Perfect Effect or DNA Designs or something, and so I bought the hands off of them for $5. So now he's pretty much perfect for I know he's not masterpiece scale or quality, but it's actually not far off masterpiece scale, and as the individual bots aren't great, but as a combined piece he's actually pretty strong and stable and not bad. So yeah, great figure that I'm glad to finally own a version of. I've obviously covered, this is MTR M15 Endgame, so I've just covered that in the last 2 videos I've done, so I won't go into any real detail on him. I'm hoping that I can fit all 3 of the cone heads in this space, which is why I've moved Grimlock. Grimlock used to stand where Endgame is. Yeah, now that the lower piece here is tabbing in properly and there's no real gap, that's the only real issue I have with this figure, and I'm loving it now. Moving down, we come to the biggest bot in my collection, and that's DX9's Gabriel, their version of Amiga Supreme, which I prefer to the Fans Toys version for cartoon accuracy. And yeah, the only issue I have with this really is that of QC. Mine broke within an hour of coming out of the box. The left shoulder pad ratchet sheared, almost took my eye out. And then all the joints started to seize up. So I ended up having to silicone spray the lot of them to free them up. That did work, but I'm still very nervous about posing him, so I haven't really touched it for a long time now. I transformed it to base mode once and then back again and put it in the cabinet displayed like this. It's a bit of a pity because it's got such such playability options, you know, as a display piece as well. You can have a lot of bots around it on base mode, but I just kind of leave it as is now, which is a shame, I have to say. But DX9 didn't want to know, and nor did Kapow actually, which was a bit annoying, having spent almost £300 on it. But there you go. It's still a nice looking figure, and if you get one that's got no QC issues, you know, you'll really love it. But as I say, I'm just a little bit scared to manipulate mine, but I still love the way it looks. And we've got a few Season 2 bots down the bottom. 2 I've already done reviews for, so I won't go into too much detail. And that's X-Transbots Klaatu and the Art of Duplicates KO of DX9's Richterfen, which I think they call Deformation Glider. My Klaatu has a QC issue where the left foot panel won't stay in unless you blue tack it, which is annoying. Really do need to get around to sending my $5 off to XTB to get them to send the replacement left leg out. This figure for 27 quid, one of the best buys I've ever had. Next to him, we've got the original Deco Smokescreen. Now, I'm probably not going to go in on the Plus version. Well, actually, I'm definitely not, because it's not actually that much different, and I'm not a big enough fan of the character at all, really. I love the colour scheme on this. I really do like it, but I'm not really a big enough fan of the character. I don't have a lot of affinity for Season 2 characters.
Speaking of which, I've got Tracks behind, which is a much maligned mould. I know. I don't think it's as bad as everyone says. It has got a horrendous backpack, like the gap on it's terrible. But then we're saying that now about, you know, very recent, much more expensive figures like MP44 and 45, and some third parties, to be honest. So, you know, I really love the colour on this guy. I love that blue colour. It reminds me of the G1 toy, only it's a little bit more metallic. The Stingray alt mode looks fantastic. You've got the third alt mode with the wings allowing for flight. And yeah, I didn't get the flight stand with mine, annoyingly. It was a second-hand purchase. But yeah, it's not as bad as everyone says. So, you know, he looks good enough in the back there, but it's probably the only... I'm not going to get any more Season 2 bots. I don't think I am. Not really in on Sea Spray or Warpath or Beachcomber. But I suppose never say never. Anyway, that's everything I currently own. I don't think MP47 Hound's going to be here before the new year. So I probably won't have any more updates to the collection before then. But, you know, if you like what you've seen and you want to chat about it, leave a comment below. I always enjoy a bit of discussion about figures, and I enjoy hearing what other people have got in their collections. So if you've got videos of your own, drop a link in. And yeah, if there's anything you've seen in my collection that you'd like me to cover that I already haven't, you know, something perhaps you'd like to see in greater detail, let me know and I'll see if I can do a short video on it just to show you how it looks. And yeah, we can sort of share the love, so to speak. Anyway, that's all from me for this year in terms of collection updates, I think, and maybe even in terms of videos, but who knows. So until next time, it just remains for me to say thanks for tuning in again, and take care, everyone.